Welcome to Pink Radio with Prestige. This is the place for you, the diva boss entrepreneur who needs quick tips on building your crave-worthy brand. This is your host, Nicole Doss, CEO of the Prestige Society, a membership organization for women entrepreneurs who believe in building powerful networks while slanging in their industries. So I want you to go ahead and grab your favorite cup of coffee and get your favorite tips right here with Prestige.
Hey, girl bosses. Welcome to another episode of Pink Radio with Prestige. I am beyond elated that you came back to hear another episode. So listen, guys, before we get started with today's topic, if you could do me a wonderful favor, please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Doing that helps other girl bosses who need tips just like these find our podcast. Without that kind of support, unfortunately, those girl bosses will not be able to find us. So please, if you could, just take one moment of your time to please just give us that wonderful rating, 5-star if you don't mind, as well as a great review. That would help us immensely. So now that we have gotten that out the way, we are going to talk about how relationship is currency. So here's the thing. My girl, Elaine Gonzalez Johnson, who is the creator of the Mogul Mommy podcast, did an episode called Relationships is the New Currency. I want to say sometime last year. And this was a topic we talked about at the Prestige Society this week. And I said, you know what, let's kind of get into this in the podcast, because when I started looking at articles, because whenever I put new things in our weekly topic within the Prestige Society, what I normally do is I try to find either a YouTube, video or an article to kind of support the topic that we're discussing within the membership or within our sisterhood. But when I looked up relationship is the new currency, honey, those articles were written in 2013, 2015, 2017, none in 18, none in 19, and none in 20. So what that tells me is that there is nothing new about relationships. There is nothing new about the currency of relationships. The problem is that we just weren't leveraging them and utilizing them the way we should. So this is why I'm saying not that relationships is the new or are the new currency, but that relationship, point blank, relationships, they are currency, period. So this is why we're going to have a conversation about those relationships, what you can do differently when it comes to building relationships, and how awesome you can begin to build relationships in social media, what you should do and what you should not do. All right, so let's just jump right into it. The first thing I want you to do, we're going to focus on what you should do. The first thing you should do is engage genuinely within social media platforms. But I use the word genuine, okay? The reason being is that these relationships should not be forced. If you think about this from a dating standpoint, no one becomes your husband after one date. I mean, I met my husband after one date, but he wasn't my husband after one date. Date one was like, ooh, he's cute. I'm kind of feeling our conversation. Date two was like, I really like him. I want him to stick around. Date 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 were then more into we're going to make this thing serious. We are going to see where this thing goes. And the rest is history. Now my last name is Doss. So these are the things that take time. But just like you would when it comes to dating, it's the same thing with building social media business relationships. These things start with time. What I would do is really focus with probably the top 5 relationships or social media profiles that you really tend to gravitate towards, and just comment a little bit on their profiles and see where those conversations go. Meaning, if this person is worth their salt. They will look, if they don't know you, they will look at your profile and figure out whether or not they want to engage with you. If they decide they want to engage with you, you'll notice that they will respond to your comments. And then through that, if you do it consistently enough, you guys will become social media BFFs, which means every time that you post something, they're celebrating your wins. Every time they post something, you're like, oh, look at you. You're looking snatched because you're on that new diet. Okay. You'll become social media friends. So the first thing is really taking the time to invest in these genuine relationships and engaging with these profiles that will help you build your business. Number 2, move the conversation from social media into another platform. What do I mean by this? Okay, so because we need to be safe, like, you don't want to be catfished and then find yourself in some human trafficking kind of situation. So we want to be safe. And then number 2, we also want to be COVID safe, because even though outside's opened up, the numbers have also increased. So being that we want to be safe, I would say invite this person to have virtual coffee with you. In doing that, it gives you the opportunity to talk about something very specific. So let's just say, you don't want to say like, oh, I just want to have coffee. Say like, hey, love your brand. I've been working on these things. I think that we could do some cross collaboration. I'd love to talk a little bit about it. Maybe it's, just something as simple as, I'd love to promote something that you're doing on my page, as well as, maybe you promoting something on yours, showing that we are, connected and that we are brands that align with one another. Who knows? You can think of whatever it is of why you want to have virtual coffee with this person, but nonetheless, have virtual coffee. Set up a Zoom link. I know y'all are over Zoom, but you need to see this person too. So have virtual coffee with this person in a safe space and see whether or not the conversation can go beyond a lot of, hands up emojis and, hey girl, you're doing your thing. I see you're out here working. See if it can actually be something a little bit more substantial. And if so, you have definitely got yourself a social media BFF. The third thing you want to do is stay in touch and really work on opportunities for you guys to collaborate together, whether it's to invite one another on each other's podcast or Instagram lives for an interview, or, a lot of these things that are happening that I love to see now on Instagram or IG lives are that people are just having roundtables, like just real talk with real people within whatever industry they're in, having conversations around the things that they're doing. And guess who's watching? They're both of those people's tribes, because it's not just person A whose little live icon goes on, but person B, who was also part of this IG live, their live icon goes on as well. So now you're able to share your audiences with one another, and you're able to show the collaboration, which will allow you guys to even further the relationship. Why is this going to be important? Because the more you're able to build relationships with people, the more you're able to do things like expand your brand. Maybe this person is on a board giving away awards for people who do the very thing that you do. And now all you need is an advocate to speak about your brand. And now your brand is being spoken about in rooms where maybe if you didn't have that relationship, your name would have never been brought up. These are the things you need to think about. So how now we say, even though we found out they've been saying it since 2015, relationships is the new currency. But prior to that, we love the hashtag network net worth. And that's really the same ideology. So when you think about these relationships, be genuine, right? Don't just go looking for folks so you can have your name in rooms, because then there's a whole another name for that person, and that person is not a networker. That person is not a collaborator. That person is an opportunist. And for people who are truly genuine, for people who really build organic relationships and love to collaborate organically with others, they can spot an opportunist. Oh my, why can't your girl can't speak today? Opportunist. Thank you. We can spot an opportunist a mile away. And, I say that because there are people that I know that are opportunists. And, whenever they want to come around and ask me questions or be part of things, it's like, you stink. You smell that? Opportunist in the ranks. Why does that smell? Because nothing you're trying to do is really something that's for both of our benefits. You're really just in the situation to see what you can get out of it. And no one wants to collaborate with someone like that. So, really make sure that these relationships that you're making are genuine. Please just know that people can spot people a mile away and no one's entitled to connect with you. So maybe you feel like, oh, I really like this person, but maybe they just aren't feeling you. Once again, I go back to dating. There's a whole movie on it called He's Just Not That Into You. So maybe this particular social media profile just isn't that into you. Guess what? No biggie. Because there's going to be other organic relationships out there that are going to be so much more beneficial for you, because you're going to feel that awesome, that meld, that melting or molding that happens where people just kind of come together and it just feels great. Like, oh, I felt like that. I think the first time Davida and Elaine and I all decided to kind of come together and form this $1 Million Mogul group. It was like a sisterhood that we were like, oh, this is so awesome. A group I can pray with, talk to, check on, vent to, have a safe space with. It was really important for me to be in that space, and it was so organic, and you could feel that it was so organic. So, when you feel that magic, y'all, you know that it's real, you know that it exists, and you want to nurture and take care of it. So remember those 3 things I really want you guys to focus on, which is engaging genuinely, right? So make comments, do a little emojis, speak to exactly what the person is posting about. Be real. Can you be real, y'all? Be real. Great. Second thing I want you to do is move that conversation away from social media and onto another platform. So I suggest doing a virtual coffee date, so that way you guys can have conversations and put some agenda to it too, because people's time is precious and nobody wants to just sit on a Zoom looking at somebody and being all confused about what it is that the person is here trying to really do. So make sure that you're mindful of that. And then number 3, stay in touch and look for real opportunities to collaborate with that individual. So really be mindful of that and really work on that. But I don't want to just leave you with these things you should do. I really want to get into the things you should not be doing. And y'all, can I tell y'all something before I go into these do not? So I am deathly afraid of anything that crawls. I don't like ants, definitely do not like spiders. And there is this ignorant behind spider that is in my windowsill. And when I tried to kill him, he ran so fast and hid I couldn't see him, but I see him now. And I just, it's like he heard me. He went back and hid. Y'all, I cannot keep my mind off of this darn spider. I think he literally started crawling out. He must have felt the vibration of my voice and was like, this is not safe, and crawled back under my windowsill where I can't get to him to smash him up. And the whole time I've been talking, guys, I have not taken my eyes off of the windowsill. I have just been looking at it and watching and scared. So if I sound distracted, blame the spider. Don't blame me. So let's get into the things you should not do. The first thing you do not want to do is ask someone outright to post your event, product, or thing for you who you do not know. Y'all, can I tell you how that really bothers me when someone sneaks up on my DM that I do not know at all. And they're like, hey, sis. Oh, okay. I'm your sis. Hey, sis, can you do me a favor? I would so appreciate it if you would post this on your page. And I look, and I need you to understand why I feel some kind of way about this. Number one, when I look at people asking me for favors, I immediately look for, what is the collaboration opportunity? What can we do together? What is someone bringing to the table? And I look and they got 50 followers. And I'm like, so you want me to post this on my 9,700 plus Instagram and you didn't have to do any work. I don't know you. You're not coming to the table offering anything, but you just want me to do this because you see women empowerment, so you're thinking I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Here's the thing about that, y'all. Everything that I do is based off of the relationships that I have. I do not post strangers' stuff. And it comes off almost as like, how dare you? Like, that is rude. So please, y'all, stop asking people to do that, because of the fact that you need to realize that everyone's social media is actually real estate. But if you don't take the time to build your social media, you don't know that it's real estate. You don't know that at all. What you think it is just a free platform for you to just go and ask people to post the stuff on their feed and on their stories and their timelines. Like, nope, it is real estate, which means that they are looking for ways to monetize their likes into conversions for their brand. And if they're going to give up their real estate, people 9 times out of 10 pay for that real estate because they want to rent a space on someone's timeline. If you do not believe me, I want you to slide into the Cut Life, or even better yet, the Shade Room's DM, and ask if they would be so polite to post about your product, your service, or your content. And I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, they will forward you to their ads page, where it used to cost for the Shade Room $2,000 for you to have posts on their Instagram site. So because there are so many roommates, which is what they call their tribe at the Shade Room, because there's so many roommates that are now, following, I want to look and see how many there are. Just, stick with me because I want to make a point. Let's go on to the Shade Room. So the Shade, I can't hold my phone. Okay. And do this. Oh, honey, they got 19.5 million followers at this moment. So if they have 19.5 million followers, you better believe you gonna pay some money in order for you to do an ad with them. And like I said, it used to be $2,000. I believe now it has increased. So you're going to pay for that real estate. So when you slide up into a small business owner who does not have 19.5 million followers, and you slide up in their DM and you just ask them to post something for you, that right there that's just bad business. It looks like bad business. It feels like bad business. And 9 times out of 10, people are completely disgusted by that, unless they are a resource page. If they are a resource page, and you will know, people who have resource pages are usually community-based pages where they always share different resources that are available in that community or that are available to whatever particular tribe they have. And what they like to do is they like to post and share what's going on so that people have access to information. So if someone has that kind of page, definitely ask them. But if you know that this is somebody's page that's like revenue generating page, and you don't see a whole bunch of flyers of everyone else's stuff on their page, please do not ask them to post it. Me personally, I just ignore you, or kind of let you know that the only people that I do post are those with whom I have a relationship with, or that are part of the network of the Prestige Society. So, I do a little self-direct so they understand the situation. But if somebody I really don't know, I'm like, I can't. Because I can't keep up with the shenanigans. I'm too busy keeping up with legitimate business. So that's a do not. Okay. Number 2, do not just ask for something without offering something in return. This is most known as bartering. That's right. So here's the thing. I heard this best when I went to Lucinda Cross's Activate conference in DC at the Howard Theater. And she said that, I think it was either Tiffany Aliche, who is also known as the Budgetnista. And she was saying how, when you go, and they were talking about, it was Dee Marshall, Lucinda Cross, and the Budgetnista, who were talking about how do you go from being a paid speaker to a sponsored speaker. And they were just saying, like, listen, when you go and you're sponsored by this organization, the money amount looks a lot different, right? So like you can go from getting like maybe $2,000 to like being a $20,000 paid keynote. But what they were saying is that, when you go to these companies and you try to build this relationship, think about how many people who look like you who go to this company with their hand out. And so the company is going to want to know, well, if I give you this money, if I give you this opportunity, if I give you access, what are you going to give me in return? So imagine that's what big business is saying, which means they can absorb a lot of hits, a lot more, I would say, they can be a lot more agile or resilient to those financial hits than, let's say, a small business owner. So if a big business who makes millions and billions in revenue a year looking at you like, well, what you got in return? Like, you want me to do something for you, but what are you going to do for me? Imagine the small business owner who may look like they are bomb.com on social media, but the reality is they still have dreams too. There's still goals they're trying to accomplish. There's still things they're trying to do and dreams they're trying to live out. So when you come with your hand out, and this is a business owner who is busting their behinds to get to where they are, and you have your hand out and they don't know you, hunty, that is not how you build relationships, but that is the best way for you to get a name for yourself, because those kind of individuals who are successful at building brands, you'll notice they kind of have like a boss gang. It's not always a girl gang. It's sometimes mixed up a little bit between, maybe it's a little bit of females, a little bit of males, or maybe it's all females, maybe it's all males, but I'll just call it a boss gang. And you notice that they move in the same groups, and then that's just first degree of folks who know each other, right? So that's like their tight knit group. Like, they invest in each other. They support one another. You see them hanging out together pre-COVID. So that is definitely all about what they do for their boss gang. But then that boss gang has like other friends that they hang with as well. And they're also bosses. So what happens is that you can go first degree, second degree, third degree of separation. And now people start talking about like, girl, let me tell you about this person that reached out to me yesterday. I mean, they had the audacity. And if you think this doesn't happen, I promise you it does, because I can only tell you how many times I've heard stories about people who have gone into other people's DMs and they just could not believe the audacity of some of the requests that were coming from those individuals. So these conversations take place, y'all. I am helping you. I am trying to give you a little bit of insight so you don't hurt yourself when you're just trying to build your business. Okay. So if you are that person that has been sneaking in people's DMs, do not think that I am judging you or that I'm looking down at you. I'm trying to help you, because the reality is you could be a really awesome person. You could be building the best brand in the world, but unfortunately, it's just the way in which you're maneuvering your business. It's actually causing you to repel people from the brand, especially those who can be ambassadors, who could support you. You're repelling them and not drawing them to you. And you want to make those connections. So and I don't care if you think you're smaller than the brand that you're reaching out to, still offer something. Someone asked me recently about my podcast, and they were like, "Oh, do you think you could? I wanted to ask you about your podcast." So I was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" I'm thinking we're going to cross collaborate. The person was actually hosting an event, so I was just like, "Oh, they probably want to know, could I give them a platform, and then in return they would give me a platform?" So I'm like, "All right, cool. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let's see what we can do." And the girl literally said, "I would love to be a guest on your podcast so that I could talk about my first event." And I said, "Oh, okay. Tell me more." And she was like, "Well, that's kind of it. I just want you to interview me so I can get more exposure for my for my event." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I'll get back in touch with you." And then I told them, "We're booked for the year. I'm so sorry, but I wish you lots of luck with your event." And the reason being is that you can't come to the table asking me for a spot when you have a spot and a platform for someone and you're not going to offer them a spot either. So I just kind of just said, you know what? And the more I looked into the brand, I just was like, it wasn't a polished brand. So I'm just like, nah. And I have to be careful too. Because if I get someone on here and I'm promoting someone, that means that my listeners are what? You're going to trust it. You're going to trust that this is something that is well thought out. You're going to trust that this is an event that you should attend. And unfortunately, just from some of the things I was seeing on social media, I just saw, I'm just going to hold her in prayer, and we're going to see what next year is going to look like. Like we're just going to keep an eye out, because I do also really want to help the person. But I just was like, these folks, you don't get it. So definitely when you go into someone's DM, I'll never tell you don't sell in the DM, because I believe in a way to do it, and I'll share with you a way to do it. But like, you can't come empty-handed. Like, especially if you have a platform and you're asking for someone else's access to the platform, you need to be able to say, hey, even if you think that it's not going to be this really big platform, or, you know, that you feel like maybe your platform is smaller than what, just offer it. Because not for nothing, the gesture in itself would go so much better if you just didn't ask at all. So please be mindful for that. Last but not least, if you find that you are selling in someone else's DM, or if you're selling in DMs and people are not engaging with you, stop. Every week I get this link to someone who is telling me to go and read or listen to their podcast. And well, it's not this one person, because one person does it, and I love her for it. So I like her to keep me in the know of what's going on with her, because guess what, y'all? We have a relationship. I know her. She knows me. Found out my best friend is her cousin. What? Who knew? So it's like, okay, all is well with the world. But when it comes to, like, I don't even know you, I never met you, and every week you keep posting, at some point when you're going to realize that it's no longer informational, but now it's just annoying, right? So I had to block the person, because it's like, I have so much stuff I have to manage in my DMs that is something I don't want to have to manage. I don't want to have to manage junk. I have to do that with my emails. I don't want to have to do that with my DM. So be mindful, like if people aren't engaging, especially for those of you that are using automated systems to just send things out to all your followers, be mindful of who is actually engaging with that, because now I don't want to see anything from this person, because it feels like it just feels like too much. And honestly, people can say the same thing about my constant contact emails. But listen, you got to gauge the audience. So with that, that's the do not list. So for the what you should do, make sure you engage genuinely with people. 2, make sure you're moving the conversations to a more virtual coffee setting so that you can see, is this a real connection? The number 3, stay in touch and look for real organic opportunities to collaborate with that individual. Then last, what you should not do not ask someone outright to post something for you when you do not have a relationship, where you do not know that individual, and there's just nothing that you're bringing to the table. Which brings us to number 2 of what you should not do, which is ask for something without something else, in hand. Like what? Like, do not ask me to post and you aren't going to do something else in return, like maybe pay ad fees, or give access, or maybe to Instagram Live of like whatever. Remember, you guys are both, I don't care how big you feel or small you feel, when you're dealing with small business owners, you both are small business owners. So support is key on both sides of the spectrum. So do not be afraid to offer something in return. Keep in mind, big businesses think that same way from small businesses as well. So when small businesses come to big businesses and they say, hey, I really want you to sponsor me, they're going to ask you, what are you going to give me in return? So remember, if that's what big business says, then what do you think another small business is going to think? So keep that in mind. And last but not least, if someone is not engaging with you, especially in the DMs, don't be mad. Just move on, because there is somebody out there who really connects with your brand, who you can do an awesome collaboration with. So with that, guys, I'm going to say have a wonderful, awesome, and most of all, blessed day. Bye.